the ability, if it happens where I can tell you how many people, I will, but right now, have no idea.
Okay.
So, well, it's software. Yeah, it's up and running. So the public bridge is ready to go whenever you are. You can fire away whenever you're ready to start. If everybody's here and packing for any, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyone here for the applicant?
Yes, we're talking about the HOA application. I'm sorry, I missed a couple of minutes of it. So
no, are any of the applicant people on the line right now?
Yes.
Who is on the line from the applicant?
John Kwasnick of Mazaki and Kwasnick, the attorney for the applicant, and my planner, Marta Leskey, is on the line with me. She's sitting in front of me.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Great, thank you.
Oh, no problem.
Mr. Kwasnick, is Dan Fortunato coming to or no?
No, he's not.
Okay, just making sure. Okay.
Okay. I think we're ready to start. Oh, I thought you were going to pass resolutions. I apologize. I thought you were going to go through some formalities.
Yeah, we have a few formalities to go through, and then we'll start the meeting.
Thank you.
You ready, Frank?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'm ready.
You recording?
I'm recording. You can go.
Okay. Welcome to the May 6th meeting of the Hillsborough Board of Adjustment. Please join me with a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting has been duly advertised according to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, the Sunshine Law. Notice of the 2020 annual meeting schedule has been provided to the officially designated newspapers, the Township Clerk, and posted on a bulletin board at the Hillsborough Municipal Building Complex. For this evening, we're obviously doing something different because of the COVID emergency. So I'm going to read some additional information. All applications on the agenda in question, along with related exhibits and consultant reports, are available for inspection at https://hillsboroughNJ.civicclerk.com at least 10 calendar days before the scheduled meeting date. At the time of the meeting, members of the public will have the opportunity to be heard by phoning the following AT&T call-in bridge number. In the USA, toll-free 888-204-5987, access code 2604706. Users will be prompted with additional information to join the meeting. To ensure that everyone has an opportunity to participate, members of the public are encouraged to notify the Department of Planning and Zoning no later than noon on the date of the meeting if they intend to ask questions or conduct any cross-examination by contacting the Board of Adjustment Clerk at ehett@hillsborough-nj.org. Okay. Next. Tonight in the courtroom, we have three people. Patrick Warman, the zoning officer, Fred Kinsler from the Hillsborough IT department, and Tina, our court stenographer. I'm going to ask Fred to just address the special setup we have with the telephone lines and how the meeting will be conducted under these circumstances. So, Fred, would you just say a few words, please?
Sure. Hi, this is Fred Kinsler, IT for the Township. I just wanted one clarification. Tina, our court recorder, board recorder, is not in the courtroom. It's simply Patrick Gorman and myself. Tina is on the line with all of our professionals. So I just wanted to make aware that if you're on the professional line, if you could please mute your line. If you're not speaking, please make sure you state your name and unmute your phone when you're ready. Unmute, state your name so the chairman knows who's speaking, and the recorder can also get your name and based on your vote. People on the public bridge, you will be muted until the public has an opportunity to speak. You will hear your phone will be unmuted in broadcast mode. At that point, you're free to speak. Try to keep your noise in the background down if you're not speaking. And again, just be polite. If two people step on each other one at a time, again, stating your name and address for the record. and speak slowly and clearly because it is a phone meeting, if you will. It's a virtual phone meeting. So, we'll take our time. I'm sure everything will get addressed. If I need to stop it for technical reasons, I'll let the chairman know. But I feel we've done this before. It's ran smoothly, so I don't expect any issues either. That's all I have, Frank.
Okay, thank you, Fred. Tim, would you take a roll call for attendance, please?
Mr. Valchek, absent. Mr. Sirachi, absent. Miss Erickson.
Here.
Mr. Stamler.
Here.
Mr. Stamler?
Go ahead and come back, Tina.
Okay. Miss Haynes?
Here.
Miss Lilly?
Here.
Chairman Herbert?
Here.
Mr. Walmacher?
Here.
John Stamler, are you there?
John, if you're on the line, make sure you're unmuted.
Did somebody just come in?
He must have dropped.
All right. And Mr. Basil is absent.
This is Mark Anderson. I think we ought to wait a moment and see if Mr. Stamler can join us if he's been cut off.
While we're waiting, I just heard on the news that the governor has extended the emergency until June 7th. So that looks like they will definitely impact our June meeting also.
Excuse me, Frank, did John just come on? I guess not. We're going to try to reach him on a different phone. While I don't know if you want to proceed. It doesn't sound like he's back on, though.
Okay, I'm going to...
His participation is, of course, always important, but not critical until we get to the application.
Okay. If somebody could try to call him, and I'll go ahead with the consideration of meeting minutes. Okay. For February 5th, 2020, are there any comments from members of the board? Okay. Would somebody make a motion to accept them, please?
Motion to approve.
Who was that?
Motion to approve. Haynes.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve.
John Stamler, 12. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, John, you back on?
Right?
Yeah, I never lost contact, but I was muted for some reason, but I could hear you guys, so I'm on.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so did I hear a second for the motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Okay, Philomena second.
Philomena second.
Okay, Tina, would you take a roll call on it, please?
Okay. Patrick, Patrick, you want me to get this?
No, I have those who are eligible.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Herbert,
Yes.
Ms. Haynes,
Yes.
Ms. Erickson,
Yes.
and Mr. Lilly.
Yes.
Okay, so we didn't need John for that one after all. Okay, the next consideration is meeting minutes for March 4th, 2020. Any comments from members of the board? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
I heard it from John Stamler. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it. Philomena.
Okay. Patrick, would you call a roll, please?
Yes, eligible members are Mr. Herbert,
Yes.
Mr. Stamler,
Yes.
Ms. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Lilly,
Yes.
and Ms. Erickson.
Yes.
Okay, next considerations of resolutions. We have 3 tonight. The first one is Nature's Choice, BA 19-10. Any comments from members of the board?
I have to abstain. From Erickson.
Yes?
Comment.
Okay, go ahead.
There it is. Eligible members are Mr. Herbert.
Is there public comments?
I'm sorry.
Frank, is there any public comment on the resolution?
No.
They don't get the comment.
No, not according to my cheat sheet, you know.
Got it.
Okay, Haynes, motion to approve.
John.
We hear a second?
Second. John, second.
Okay. Patrick?
Eligible members, Mr. Herbert,
Yes.
Mr. Sandler,
Yes.
Ms. Haynes,
Yes.
Ms. Cirilli.
Yes.
And Ms. Erickson is noted as abstained.
Correct.
Okay. Property Improvement Corp., Mr. Dodzinski, BA 1915. Patrick? Oh, okay. Well, first of all, any comments from the members of the board? Hearing none, is there a motion? Oh, did I hear, was there a comment that I...
Yeah, Frank, it's Janine. I misunderstood. The prior resolution for Nature's Choice, I'm okay.
Yes.
I would vote yes. It was Mr. Dzinski that I had to abstain because I was not part of that application. Okay. So I apologize.
Sure.
Okay, okay, on a vote, did you get her vote yes on that?
Yeah. Mark, you got that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Property Improvement Group, Mr. Dodzinski, BA 1915. Any comments from members of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
And that was,
Philomena.
okay, Stamler, motion, Philomena, second. Patrick?
1 second.
Philomena, seconded.
All right. Mr. Herbert,
Yes?
Ms. Haynes,
Yes.
Ms. Cirilli.
Yes.
And Mr. Sandler.
Yes.
Okay, and the third consideration resolution is Temple Bethel, BA 1913. Any comments from members of the board?
Motion to approve. Daimler.
Second, Erickson.
Okay, Patrick?
Ms. Erickson,
Yes.
Mr. Sandler,
Yes.
Ms. Cirilli,
Yes.
Ms. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Herbert.
Yes. Okay, next on the agenda is Board of Adjustment business. Tennis facility, MA and CM Holdings, VA 1902. Patrick, would you address that, please? What's happened?
1 second, please. Yes, the application BA 1902, tennis facility, otherwise known as MACM Holdings LLC, was the application located at 146 Westville Road in also known as the Hillsborough Country Club. They were requesting a use variance, subdivision, site plan, and other C variances. The attorney has addressed to our department that they will be withdrawing they wish to withdraw their application at this time, not to be considered by the board.
Okay, so that's off the agenda. The next one is IPPOS NJ Property Management K9 Resort BA 1914. Patrick, would you give us an update on that one, please?
Yes, the application IPPOS New Jersey Property Management K9 Resort BA 1914. This was originally to be scheduled for tonight's meeting, but with the current situation and at the request from the attorney and the applicant of this application, they requested to be carried to the next meeting with notice on June 3rd. That'll be our next scheduled meeting.
Yeah, and just looking back, originally that case application started back on March 4th, and we ran out of time that evening. And then the board approved a special meeting for March 25th, and we actually got all notifications and the legal work done on the 12th. And the very next day, the emergency was declared, so that was the end of that meeting. And the April meeting, didn't happen either. And I guess they didn't want to be on our trial run tonight with a virtual meeting, so there they are.
Hey, it's Stamler. I asked a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Patrick and board members, going forward, I know we have K9 scheduled for the 3rd. If we set up any special meetings and we vote on any special meetings, can we ensure for the time being that we don't piggyback any applications for a given night and keep it single applications? Like if we need a special meeting in either June or July, we schedule just one application for that special meeting. That's all.
Yeah, John, I think we're all on the same page there. As we're going through, this is the current situation that we have. No extra need to complicate things if need be. Any comments from the chairman or Mark?
Mark Anderson, I would agree that under the current circumstances, it is desirable to limit the number of applications at a particular meeting, but of course it would be the board's choice.
Okay. At this point, we have business from the floor for matters not on the agenda. So this is input from the public. So Fred, if you can unmute the public line, see if anybody has any business.
All are now in interactive talk mode.
Okay, so this is a chance for the public to address any issues that are not on the agenda tonight. Is there anybody on the public line that would like to address the board? Hearing none, we'll move on. Freddie can
all are now in listen-only mode.
Okay.
Hey, Frank, it's Stamler. I have one thing I want to bring up that's not on the agenda.
Go ahead.
I sent an email to Sean and Doug, and I think I CC'd Frank and Chicky on it. I just wanted to know the status. Back in September of last year, we came up with some recommendations to the Township Committee, and Sean responded back that they're going to be looking into them. So, it's all the way back to September, and there's some, there's 6, but there's a few that should be no problem to get approved. So I just wanted to bring that up, that Sean said they'll take a look.
Yeah, no, I agree, and we've also, other people have sent emails to Sean, and, they haven't been lost. They're definitely on there.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have one application tonight. It's Parkside at Mountain View sign, BA 1911. Patrick, would you reintroduce that, please?
Sure thing. The only application on for this evening is Parkside Mountain View, file number BA 19-11. Time of the decision is 7/1/20. Located at block 180.09, lot 4. Otherwise known at the intersection of Parkside and Mountain View and Rouser Way. The applicant is seeking a deed variance to construct a freestanding sign to be installed at the entrance of the corner of Mountain View Road and Pleasant View Road on a property located in the AG Agricultural District. This matter has been adjourned from the February 19, 2020 agenda with renotice. One special note with this, Mr. Stamler was not present at the prior meeting. He had since sent a certification to our department and has listened to the audio from that meeting. Mr. Stamler, can you please confirm that? Thank you.
I'll reconfirm, yes.
Thank you. So at this time, Mr. Chair, I'll give it off to you. If the applicants, if they're on mute, they can unmute their phones at this point, and we can proceed with the application.
Thank you. Mr.
Chairman and the board, I just want to remind everybody, I was before you on February 5th, 2020, in connection with an application by my client Parkside and Mountain View for, in essence, a marker sign to identify the community that's not going to be illuminated in any way. It was a basic sign for which our architect, Mr. Fortunato, presented testimony to the board at that time as to the design and layout. Because of the nature of the variance being sought, the use variance, we also needed to offer a planner. That's why there was some issues of conflicts, and we finally found a planner that was able to testify in this matter, which I'm going to present her testimony this evening. I'm going to present her. I assume you're going to swear her in. Her name will be sitting in front of me, like I said before. Her name is Marta Levsky.
Ms. Levsky, can you raise...
Tina, would you swear?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got it, thanks. Ms. Levsky, can you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, can you please state and spell your name for the record?
My name is Marta Levsky, that's M-A-R-T-A. Last name Levsky, L-E, F as in Frank, S as in Sam, K-Y.
Okay, and Mr. Kwasnik, is that...
Yes.
Okay, can you please spell your name too?
Sure, it's K-W-A-S-N-I-K.
Thank you. Go ahead, proceed.
For the record, because I understand Ms. Levsky hasn't appeared before the board before, I just want to qualify her as an expert in planning. Ms. Levsky, for the record, can you give us your educational background?
Yes, I'm a graduate of University of Pennsylvania, both an undergrad and with a master's in city and regional planning.
Do you hold any special certifications or licenses?
Yes, I'm a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey and licensed with the American Institute of Certified Planners, which is a national licensing accreditation.
And your work experience in the area?
Sure. I'm at heart a municipal planner. I've been gainfully employed by the Township of Woodbridge in Middlesex County as their planner for in excess of 30 years. I've been the director of planning for Woodbridge for the past 20 years of that time period. And for the last 20 years, I've also been a consultant planner to other municipalities, in front of other boards in multiple counties and towns throughout the state.
Okay, this is Frank Harvey. We can accept her qualifications.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. Lefty, did you have an opportunity to review the application conducting with the Parkside Mountain View sign?
Yes, sir.
What else did you review prior to your testimony tonight?
Oh, wow. Well, I came to your lovely borough multiple times to look at the site. I went through the master plan documents online, the zoning map, your zoning ordinance, specific and different sections, and also the report from T&M that was dated back in October.
And I'm just going to ask you, you had a chance to look at everything. What is your position with respect to the positive and negative criteria required to justify this use variance?
Okay, so this is obviously a continuance from your previous hearing, so I'll try not to bore you with what you've heard before, but just by way of summary, again, our use variance is a request to permit the location of a freestanding, single-sided, non-illuminated identification sign at the intersection of Mountain View and Pleasant View Roads. The sign is surrounded by a stone base with stone pillars, and landscaping and trees are proposed to be planted to create an attractive entryway to the Parkside at Mountain View neighborhood community. As Mr. Kwasnik alluded to, whenever a use variance is requested, and I'm sure the board is more than aware of this, that they've heard it before, that the applicant is tasked with providing evidence justifying the granting of the requested use variance by documenting the positive criteria, the benefits of the proposed application, and also identifying, if any, the negative criteria, the negative impact associated with the application, and imploring and applying any techniques possible to ameliorate any of those possible negative impacts. So the first prong of the four-prong test associated with the use variance under the positive criteria is, does the request forward the purposes of the municipal land use law, specifically under 40:55E-2. This sign proposal forwards under that section, specifically letter A, which is to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lands in this state in a manner which will promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. The proposed sign will serve as a much-needed identifier for the Parkside community, serving to inform the public and the traveling motorists who may be unfamiliar with the area or unfamiliar with the township or unfamiliar with the community. This sign will be a keen identifier to the driving public. Also, and probably almost as equally important for the neighborhood, this signage will contribute to creating a sense of place, informing the public that they have arrived at the Parkside community. The second prong of the positive criteria we must demonstrate for you is how it is that the sign is particularly suited and or peculiarly fitted to this specific site. This proposed sign is located at the intersection of Mountain View and Parkview Roads, as I know you're aware. It is the entry to this lovely community. Were it but for the location of this community here, a sign wouldn't be necessary and we wouldn't be proposing one. So it is specifically as for an identifier of the place that is here, identifying this location, Parkside, at Mountain View. That is the specific reason that the sign is proposed, and that is how it is particularly suited. Also, with regard to the exact location, it's set back from both of the streets, Mountain View and Pleasant View, and it is angled such that all of the oncoming traffic from any direction can see the sign. Specifically, also, it's located at the base of the berm. So it's not only particularly suited, but it's peculiarly fitted in that were the sign to be moved to any other location, it very well may not be visible to every entrance from every roadway, and given the berm, it can't be moved back further. So it is also peculiarly or particularly fitted. With regard to the negative criteria or a possible negative impact generated by the proposed sign, first we must demonstrate for you that this variance for this proposed sign will have little or no negative impact on the surrounding properties and the adjacent neighborhood. This proposed sign will mirror the signage already located at the preserve at Hillsborough, our sister community located adjacent on Pleasant View Road. The proposed sign will be less intrusive and obtrusive, however, as there is no ground-mounted lighting. There's no lighting proposed. That sign at the preserve is literally almost on the street of Pleasant View. So the setback of our proposed sign is significantly and substantially greater. And the sign is equally small or smaller than the sign that is proposed, that is existing, at the preserve. Also, the next prong and the final prong that we have to identify is, does the proposed signage in any way impair the intent or purpose of the zone plan. The board granted use variances when both the Preserve at Hillsborough and the Parkside at Mountain View communities were approved to be located along Mountain View and Pleasant View Road in the agricultural district. The board found during those hearings that the proposed uses did not impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan, but rather there were special reasons to be considered as to why the use variance request should be granted for these residential communities in the agricultural zone. So when these two communities were granted, each was separate, of course, but that is more than 80 acres of residentially developed, single-family, residentially developed acreage. The proposal before the board tonight is for a very minimal size sign with attractive landscaping, attractive stone base and pillars, with no light, so it will not even be visible after dark. So I cannot find, it is my testimony that I cannot find how this will negatively impact the zone plan or impair the intent and purpose of the zoning, given the history of these sites. Further, the proposed sign will be a benefit as an identifier to slow oncoming traffic, providing appropriate identification and help to create a sense of place for Parkside at Mountain View. Finally, the proposed signage promotes and fulfills on the following objectives of the 2018 Master Plan Reexamination Report. Under Natural Resources, Objective 9 is to promote the use of minimal necessary levels of nighttime outdoor illumination so as to protect and preserve the dark sky quality and starscape of the agricultural and mountain districts. Objective number 10 under Natural Resources, to protect and maintain the existing tree canopy during the development process, as well as promote the replanting of areas when the canopy has been lost. And finally, under the transportation objectives, number 16 is to consider traffic calming solutions that could include some or a combination of all of the following: signalization, landscape medians, special pavement, crosswalk treatments, signage, better lighting, lower speed limits, establishing a clear deference to pedestrian and bicycle traffic, curb extensions, on-street parking, roadway bumps, and/or humps. So it is my humble opinion and my testimony that the proposed sign forwards these objectives contained in your reexamination report, and that it provides the benefits that I previously stated, and I do not see a detriment to adjacent properties or the intent and purpose of the zone plan. And that is my testimony. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Mr. Klosnick, do you have any questions?
No, I do not. Okay, this is Frank. Any questions from members of the board to the testimony? Any questions from Mark Anderson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no questions.
Okay, and Patrick, do you have any input on this? Any questions?
No further questions at this time. The planner satisfies the criteria in my memo.
Okay. I'm going to ask if there's any questions from the public. So, Fred, would you open the public line for unmuted?
All participants are now in interactive talk mode.
Okay. Is there anybody on the line that has a question for this witness?
Yes.
Who's it? Please state your name and address.
Susan Della Ford, Hunt Club Road.
Good evening, Susan.
Okay, first time trying this.
Sure.
The planner, who was just speaking, said that she felt this was a much-needed identifier, but it seems as though, I don't know if you'll agree, most drivers in this particular development would be looking for a single-family home address, not a development name. So that was, I guess, my first question on this. And then that location makes it appear that Pleasant View Road is part of the development. Why not have it on a corner of one of their own entry roads instead of on the corner of two public roads? One of their own entries, like the corner of Pleasant View and, I can't read it, Keyshaw Drive?
Okay, so I think they're... Mrs. Levsky, did you hear the question?
Yes, I did. I was waiting. I didn't know if you wanted to say anything, so I wasn't going to speak out of turn. No problem.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. Thank you. Well, that's a very good question, and I believe that that's the exact reason that the homeowners association is requesting the sign placement and the sign, because that's exactly right. And I have had the occasion to drive through Hillsborough, but until this weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, coming out to the site, I had not been to this location, and you would have absolutely no way to know that you are at Parkside at Mountain View. And so it is exactly because it's an identifier that is the exact location that the homeowners association would like to place the sign. And that's exactly why it was chosen, because it is an identifier. And there is no such identification in that area.
So the homeowners association is requesting this?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Do they also, since it seems as though they're also going to have a lot of people trying to reach them at the other end of Pleasant View Road, what is that, 601? Do they also have a sign at that end?
No, I don't believe there's any additional signage. This is the only sign they're asking for.
The other end would be Montgomery Township then?
It could very well be, but there is no signage for the property.
Okay. Okay, I just felt that most people were going to enter a street address into their GPS, not the name of the development. I guess that was the main question I had about why they chose that location. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Anybody else on the line that has a question for this witness? In that case, Fred, could you remute the line?
All participants are now in listen-only mode.
Okay, so at this point, I guess the only thing left is input, public comments instead of questions. So can I have a motion to open to public comment?
Haynes, make a motion to open.
Second?
Second, Philomena.
Okay. Vote, please.
Ms. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Stamler?
Yes.
Ms. Haynes?
Yes.
Ms. Salili?
Yes.
Chairman Herbert?
Yes.
Do we need, we don't need...
Okay, at this point...
Yeah, go ahead,
Did
Frank.
you get everybody? Okay, at this point, we're going to reopen the line for any public comment about this sign. So, Fred, would you unmute this?
All participants are now in interactive talk mode.
Okay, so is there anybody on the public line that has a comment about this application? Hearing none, Fred, you can unmute the line.
To place, all participants are now in listen-only mode.
Okay, at this point, Mr. Kwasnik, would you like to summarize your application?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick summary. I think we presented enough testimony of both the planner and the architect to justify the use variance we're seeking in conjunction with the sign. And procedurally, it's my understanding, unless I'm wrong, was that testimony was going to be presented tonight, but the vote would be held off until next meeting. We weren't sure if we were going to have enough. We weren't sure if you're going to have a quorum tonight.
Well, we have a quorum. We have 5 members that can vote on this too, right, Patrick?
Correct. Mark, any comments on the voting?
Mark Anderson, this is a situation that arises because under the municipal land use law, use variances, this being one, are required to have 5 affirmative votes for approval, not simply a majority of those who may be present. So there are only 5 members. That means, of course, that there could be an affirmative vote of 5 members, but at the same time, the applicant would be taking the chance, if you will, that any one of the 5 members might be opposed, whereas if there were 6 or 7 members, particularly if there were a full board available of 7 members voting, the applicant could lose as many as 2 votes and still be approved. Now, municipal land use law simply does not speak to what the board is supposed to do in this situation. It has always been my advice to the board, and it remains my advice, that if the applicant requests the opportunity to have a full 7-member board vote, that the board should allow that to be done. If the applicant so requests, and if the board agrees, then the discussion, that is the deliberation on this, should be carried to a further meeting when additional members will be qualified to participate by virtue of having read or listened to the record.
Mr. Anderson,
Mark, can I jump in? I'm sorry, Mark.
Who's speaking?
Chicky. Would it be possible, and it would be up to the applicant's attorney, I believe in the past we've had some informal discussions on an application prior to any motion and vote, and maybe that would be helpful in helping the attorney make a decision as to whether he, wanted to take the vote tonight.
As Mr. Anderson said, with the requirement of a 5 affirmative vote, I was just going to carry the vote over till next meeting if there's no objection or anybody has any issues, as long as I can make it onto the calendar.
Well, the trouble is, there's no guarantee that we're going to, if we still have to have these kinds of meetings, that, we're going to have the full board. I don't want to hold you up any longer.
It's Stanley with a question, Frank and Mark. Is it possible to ask the board members for any positive or negative comments that, not to influence the applicant, but for the applicant to listen to any negative or positive comments from the board before making that decision tonight?
That was what I was trying to lead into, John.
Normally, didn't we do that? Okay, let me answer a question like this. What do we normally? I would ask for a motion, say for approval, and then during a discussion for that proposal, the negatives and positives would come out. Would that be one way of doing it?
No, I think
no, because
normally
once you've entered into the deliberation, then it becomes much more difficult to justify that the deliberation is open to further members. Now, I very much understand the practicality of the question that Ms. Haynes asked, and Mr. Stamler, I believe, is asking the same question. At the same time, unless I have misunderstood, it appears to be that Mr. Kwasnik has made a request that this be carried for deliberation, and I think that the board ought to act on that request one way or another.
Okay, does he have to sign an extension Patrick? I'm sorry, Haynes? Patrick?
I'm sorry.
Patrick? Do they have to sign an extension?
I think it's carried through July anyway, so I think you have to
Carries
sign.
to July. Time of decision is July.
Okay, so I take it, Mr. Kwasik, that you're asking for an extension to the next meeting?
Correct, the June meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
June meeting, yeah. And, you know, we have one application on the June meeting, and we could put you right up front to get it, you know.
I would appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And at this point, you know, Mr. Womacker, you know, he'd be a sixth person, and he could listen to the recording from the February meeting. So we'd be up to six if everybody tonight could make it at the next meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I should point out also that what is being carried is not the hearing itself. The hearing at this point is closed, although, Mr. Chairman, I don't believe you've actually declared it closed, but it is effectively closed at this point. So what would be carried to the next meeting is board deliberation and board decision. That does not require the applicant to be present or the applicant's attorney if they choose not to be, although, of course, as with any member of the public, they would be entitled to be present.
Okay.
I would request that we carry it, and I will be present for that vote. I will chime in if we're still on Zoom or whatever, call in.
Okay, in that case, I'll ask for a motion to carry this to the June meeting.
Motion to carry to the next meeting.
Stamler, and in a second.
Erickson will second.
Okay. Tina, would you...
Mr. Chairman, I point out that while not so stated, this is definitely a motion to carry without further notice. There would be no point to having further notice because the hearing itself is already closed.
Right.
Yeah, that's right, Mark. That's what I was going to say.
Okay, ready for a roll call?
Ready.
Okay, Ms. Erickson,
Yes.
Mr. Stamler,
Yes.
Ms. Haynes,
Yes.
Ms. Salili,
Yes.
Mr. Herbert.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. See you in June, hopefully.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board. I'll see you on June 3rd, or hear from you on June 3rd.
One way or the other, we'll do it.
Got it. Be safe, everybody.
Thank
you.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of the meeting. Like I said, I was hoping that we'd be back in the courtroom for the June meeting, hearing that the governor has extended the emergencies till June 7th. That may not be the case. So that to me is going to be a little bit, the K9 is going to be difficult if we have to do it like this, but I guess we have no choice. Okay, having said that, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, Patrick, real quick. Is there anything you want to talk about on the calendar real quick coming up?
Yeah, well, thank you for reminding that. Everybody got from Eva the open applications, and did everybody see that yesterday?
This is Philomena. No, I did not see it.
Okay, basically, Patrick, why don't you just walk us through that, please?
Sure. So we're coming. What we have is a little 6-month calendar at this point of who's going to. I always like to say scheduled or tentatively scheduled to be on at this point, considering the circumstances that we're going with. So at the June 3rd meeting, we only have one application on thus far, plus the vote now for the Parkside sign. The application is for K9 Resort. And then we go into the next meeting after that on July 1st. July 1st will feature PSE&G, which is a use variance for the 2 new pole mounts, and then Bill 2 Construction, which is the Gulf Station over on 206. They're looking to we have the property bid still for the gas station, which requires site plan approval and the use variance at the same time. August, we are all...
Okay, Patrick, let me stop you right there. This is Frank. Now, everybody should have the paper copies of those 2 applications from earlier this year. And if not, the civic clerk... No?
Excuse me, Frank. We do not have PSE&G.
Okay, I take that back. I thought I did.
I never got it.
I don't have it.
Okay.
I never read it.
Hey, by the way, I've been fooling around with Civic Clerk today. Now I have my login, and it's pretty cool. You can actually see most of the stuff, you know.
Frank, let's stick to this.
Okay, go ahead, Patrick. I'm sorry.
Sure thing. So we'll, as for our office, we'll send out an email tomorrow. If we don't have plans for some reason, and you still need a paper, we can try to make arrangements. Otherwise, we'll have things in Civic Plus as we go. The only thing I want to bring up at the moment, and I want to run this by Mark too at this time, it might be prudent for the board to add an extra day in June in case the K9 resort is not finished, or if we have technical difficulties, that we'll have an opportunity for a second day in at least June to make up for it and try to keep things going at that point.
It's Daimler. I think we can make that decision at the time of the K9.
We can, we might not be able to because there's certain noticing and that makes things a little bit more hectic for our office. But what we can do is if we don't need the June 15th meeting, after hearing the testimony and voting on June 3rd, then we can just cancel it at that time.
I don't.
Patrick, yeah, and in fact, then you cannot put on CSC&G on the same agenda.
We can still keep them on July 1st if need be.
Okay.
I think we already started with the K9 application. We can continue it, and this process of the teleconference and the amount of experts they have, it might take a little bit more time. It may not. But I just want to prepare the board to potentially for any future backlog.
What date are you looking at?
The usual board meeting scheduled in June, if there were to be two meetings, would be the 3rd and the 17th.
Okay.
Okay, so the proposal is to have a special schedule a meeting for the 17th, but only for a K9 carryover, right? Not for anything else?
We don't have to put anything else we don't have to.
No, right. Not period. It's Daimler. It's K9 or nothing.
Okay, then in that case, would you make a motion, John, for a second meeting in June?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Chairman Herbert, I have a question for our attorney. With the restrictions that we have currently about doing the virtual meetings, is it possible for an internal decision to be recommended that we have a meeting in the courtroom as opposed to a virtual meeting? Because what I'm hearing is that it's a difficult one for us to handle via, the telephone conferencing or the virtual meeting, whereas if we were to have it in the courtroom, it would probably be more beneficial for our parties to get it resolved on June 3rd.
Well, I certainly do understand that the application is certainly far more complex than what you heard this evening. It involves plans, rather detailed plans. Again, I'm not sure I can completely answer your question. The way that these virtual meetings have been arranged is, as I understand it, a matter of township policy, which has been presumably accepted by the board. The board, within the limits of what the township will allow and the state will allow, can make its own decisions. But the provisions for these virtual meetings are at least a recommendation from the township, if not a mandate.
Okay.
Mark Haynes. You know what? But the township committee is meeting in person, not with public, but with their professionals, and on the days we might have to spread out more, but they are meeting as a group with masks and distancing. So, I don't know that we'd be automatically barred from a in-person for those board members that wanted to come in person, and others could call in if they were more comfortable doing that.
Well, June you'll understand I have no desire to challenge the direction of the township committee, but I do, as I always have to point out, that the board is an independent board. So I think my statement earlier is correct, that within what the township will permit and within what the state will permit, it is the board that makes its own decisions.
I mean, this is Frank. I made a pitch to the mayor and Sean to live stream for the duration of the emergency, to live stream our meeting just like they do the township committee. And this way, people that aren't there could see what's happening, and we'd have a minimum number of people in the room, so we don't, people that are not comfortable coming don't have to. I think that would be easy, but my proposal hasn't gone anyplace yet, so for what it's worth.
But Frank, we don't have to do the live streaming. It's just,
I agree, but I'm just saying it's easier for the show and tell witnesses. And I think we're probably pretty much done with when I say show and tell witnesses, I mean like the architect and the civil engineer when they're pointing at stuff. I think we're finished with them with K9, so we could probably get by with a conference like this, I guess.
Mr. Chair Herbert, if I could jump in for a minute. The architect, I believe, still has to go for a K9 report. There are several witnesses that need to be done. Have to provide some context to the board.
Okay.
All right. It's Stamler. I'm going to recommend for June 3rd, Frank, that like Phil recommended too. Why don't we just have the option? I'm not coming into that building, but I still want the option to do what I'm doing tonight. But if there are some members that want to attend, we could do the spacing correctly, where they could sit out in the pews, right?
Wait, yeah. That's something that would need to be a process of administration.
Okay, so it's the sense of the board then that we'd like to have a meeting if and those it'd be a voluntary thing for members to approach, and myself and Chicky, we could go back to the township committee and make that recommendation.
Okay, that was my next question is...
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I didn't hear what you said, Philomena.
What I was saying is that would be the next step if the board were in agreement that we would make a request or offer a suggestion to... Who would that go to? To the... Fill in the blank for me.
It would be the mayor and Sean. I think those would be the two principals, right?
Okay, and that would be handled by you as chair and Ms. Haynes as vice chair?
As vice chair, yeah. Get it from the
Would
right.
we have to take a vote on how the other members of the board feel about this?
Okay, we could do that. Those that would like to have a meeting at the courtroom on June 3rd, voluntarily attended by those members. Those in favor, I'll ask Tina to do a roll call on that.
Okay.
Well, hold on. It's Stamler.
Yeah.
With the caveat that you have the option of either or, correct?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. As I said, by voluntary.
Okay. So, all right.
Okay, Ms. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Stamler?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Haynes?
Yes.
Ms. Salili?
Yes.
And Mr. Herbert? Oh, yeah, go ahead, Mr. Herbert. And Mr. Woolmark, are you still there?
Yes, and also yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, Ms. Haynes and I will get on the phone tomorrow, I guess, and see what we can do.
Right, and Patrick can also be involved with Anthony. So,
Yep.
I can only
that
communicate back of what administration tells me we can do or not do, or that's most I can do for my capacity.
Right.
And that would, this is Philomena. This is Philomena again, and that would negate the necessity of having the second meeting on the 17th, because the only thing that would have been on there would have been K9. if we resolve it. That was not part of my question.
Catching that.
that was not part. That was not me speaking or barking.
My dog was praying about it.
It's Daimler. I make a motion to have a special meeting only if it's a carryover from K9. That's all.
Right. That's what I was saying. Yeah. Before I got barked at.
Yeah, we already proved that.
Okay, so there's a motion to have a second meeting only for a carryover for K9. Do I hear a second?
I think we voted on it.
Okay, Philomena, you seconded? Phil, you said, yeah, okay, you want a roll call on that?
Please.
Miss Erickson?
I thought we
did already.
Yeah.
Oh, we did?
My dog was yeah.
I already made the motion and it was seconded and we voted yes for the special meeting.
Okay,
Why are we doing it again then? Yeah, we got to get inside that building. All right, go ahead.
I think it's time to make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
do I hear a motion?
Wait, Stanley has another question. Patrick.
Stanley has another question.
Sorry.
We got K9, 6-3. We have K9 if needed on 6-17. PSE&G, Patrick, is their application completed?
PSE&G is complete. They have to go before the Environmental Commission coming up. So they're complete and they're ready to go for July 1st.
Okay. And then what is that, Bilco or whatever, that gas station, that application is completed and ready to go?
They're complete.
Okay, cool. And that's scheduled for August, right?
Yeah, and we're getting an extension from...
There is no August.
No. It's right now it's on July, right?
Yeah. There is no August meeting, Mr. Stanley.
There is no August meeting.
Well, we said we were only going to have one application.
Right. Where is Bill?
All right.
We can add if things start getting backed up, we can always add meetings if need be, if we need to clear up stuff as we go. So we just need to make sure we do it. We'll have a little more foresight to do it ahead of time to make sure we can make proper accommodations.
Can I ask the board members now if they're available for July? What day is that? What's the 3rd? July 22nd. Is the board members available for a special meeting for Bilco on July 22nd?
No, John, it'd be the 15th. July 15th.
The 15th would be the 3rd. Okay, and John, why are you recommending that?
Yeah, PSE&G and Bilco. Where are you putting them?
Right now they're on July 1st.
Okay, and we agreed that if we're going to continue to do this, we should only schedule one per. So that's why I'm recommending a second meeting in July.
So if I understand correctly, Patrick speaking, you potentially want to add a second meeting in July at this point?
If the board members that are on this call agree.
I think this is Philomena. I think we might have a vacation situation in the month of July to agree to a second meeting in July.
Who's getting to go on vacation these days?
I know, that's true.
Far away. And this is tricky. Remember, both of those are use variances, so we've got to have 7 members. We don't even have 7 members tonight making a decision.
Well,
maybe we could send an email out.
At this point, I mean, if you want to add it, fine, but we can still discuss it on June 3rd and see where we are currently with the pandemic and the governor's orders and see where we're at that point.
Yeah, I agree. Let's wait for June 3rd.
Okay. So we'll leave it at that at this point. We'll have both on there and see what happens within the next 4 weeks. Is that right, John?
I want it on record that I suggested a special meeting.
Yeah, which is, I'm still trying to cope with that suggestion, John.
Yeah, John, go back on mute.
Okay, it's getting silly. So do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Who was that? Tina, did you get that?
I got Phil. Philomena, who wants to second it?
I'll second it, Erickson.
Okay, Jean.
John, sit down.
Okay, roll call, please.
Miss Erickson.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Stamler. Yeah, he left. Miss Haynes?
Yes.
To adjourn. Miss Salili?
Arf,
Okay.
yes.
Mr. Wallmarker? And
Yes.
okay, and Mr. Herbert.
Yes.
Okay, it's unanimous.
Everybody stay safe. The meeting is over.
Yes,
For the record,
everybody.
the time is 8